So, last week I went around and I told those of you that are registered for the NTC portion of the class that if you were registered or not. If you are interested in getting the credit, you need to call, there it goes again. You need to call this number and talk to the wonderful people on the other end of the phone. And you need to tell them that you are profusely sorry because you didn't do this on October 11th, like we were supposed to. So that you need to register for college algebra with applications. And then which number did she want?
She wants the 23806.
Okay, so then she wants the 23806 number. Okay, but if you don't, if it's somebody else, they might want the other. This is the course. The top one is the actual course number of this course at NTC with our section. The bottom one is the online registration 5-digit code. Okay, and doing that takes 5 minutes maybe.
Yeah, I mean, when I did it, she was kind of like trying to figure out, like, it's probably because you're supposed to do it earlier, so it took a little bit of time, but it's
The other thing is that you want to be in fall. You're registering in fall of 2020, not in spring of 2021. Okay, so you're technically registered in the fall of 2020. I should put that up here too. Okay, and then again, profusely say, I'm sorry, I didn't listen to my teacher in October and do this on my own. Okay? But again, it doesn't take very long to do. Okay? So here is where we'll start today. Please solve me this system of equation. It does two things for us. And one, it gets our brain thinking about systems of equations. And two, it gets us thinking about our final, which is coming up later on this week. So talk to me. How'd we do?
I think I did okay.
But how'd we do it?
So I isolated the x minus 10y.
Okay.
So that way I can put that into the equipment.
So you made this become x equals 10y plus 6?
Yes, and then I put 10y plus 6 in for x on the top equation. And then solve for y.
Okay, so then you got 3 times 10y plus 6
plus 4y plus 1.
Okay.
And then solve for y.
So you got 30y plus 18 plus 4y equals 1.
Yep, and then
34y equals negative 17.
Yep, and then divide by 34 and whatever.
Negative 1/2.
Yep, and then put that into the x equals 10y plus 6 and solve for x. I actually remember how to do this when with me.
Look at you.
You knew I had it in me, didn't you?
Girl gets glasses and suddenly she
Right,
can
all of a
see.
sudden I'm smart. Did my homework and everything.
I don't know my glasses. I haven't.
And so then that's what, negative
I can see
5.
so clearly, like, it's so weird. Like the world is so precise.
Did you leave it just like that, or did you put it in a different form?
You don't put it in the x comma y form or whatever. So you put 1 comma negative 1/2.
Did you do anything else?
It's a good dang question. Nope, I didn't.
Nope. Did anybody do anything else?
Oh, that's fine.
Anybody do anything else, or do we
You have
just?
to check your answers.
That'd be a good plan, don't you think?
Yeah, put
Yeah.
those in for the.
Put those in back in the original equations. Yeah. 3, right?
Yeah.
1/2 times, or negative 1/2 times 4 is negative 2. 3 plus negative 2 is 1. Checks out the first one. 1 is 1. Negative 1/2 times 10 is negative 5. 1 minus negative 5 is 6. Checks out in both equations. Now I can
Circle.
it, box it, whatever you do.
I really can't do it.
So that is, does anybody remember what that method is called? Substitution. Yep, that's one way that we can solve a linear system of equation is by substitution. What's another method that we have? Elimination.
Oh, we're back on this.
Elimination is where we get the coefficients of one of the variables to be the same, just opposite signs, and then we add the two equations together. That eliminates one of them, and we solve and move on. Okay. What's another method? That's not a way. That's just a way to solve a quadratic. We learned two other methods this year. Graphing and matrices. Okay. But those only work on linear systems. All four of those work on linear systems. Plus, there's Kramer, augmented matrices. There's a couple of different more out there that we didn't go over. Today, we are going to switch from linear systems of equations to a quadratic system of equations. And a quadratic system of equations has one of the two elements in it being a conic section. Okay? So you're going to have one of the four conics. So you're going to have a circle, parabola, ellipse, or hyperbola as one of your equations. The other equation is going to be either another conic or a line. One of the two. Okay? So that's what we're going to have today, starting today. Okay? So here are our conic system or conic sections again. You have those written down for you. And then we just added a line. So your system of equation is going to consist of two of those five. Okay? Where at least one of them is the top four. Okay? All right. So let's dive right into it head first. Here is our system of equations. X squared plus y squared equals 13, and y equals x minus 1. What two shapes am I dealing with here in this quadratic system of equations?
Circle.
First one's a circle, centered at with a radius of,
Nope. Whatever the square root of 13 is.
square root of 13. Okay. Okay, I won't. Because it's like 3 plus 5.
Yeah, I figured that after I did that.
Square rooting not just divided by 2.
Yes, I got
Yep,
that.
exactly. Okay. So circle with a center at the origin, radius of square root of 13. What's the other one? A line. Okay. So we got a circle intersecting with a line. How many different options do we have for answers? Well, how many possible answers can we get? How many different ways can a circle and a line intersect?
All the way around. Twice. No, twice.
Twice.
They can intersect twice.
Okay. Is that it?
Well, tangent just like, isn't it like tangent or something? Like
Where it just touches once.
Yeah.
Okay. So twice, once, or none, where they don't intersect at all, right? Okay, so that's our possible. In this scenario, we're either going to get 0 points 1 point or 2 points. If we got a third point, something's not stirring the Kool-Aid. Okay? Because that doesn't work. All right? So, here's how to do it by substitution. We're going to focus in on substitution today. Wednesday, we'll focus in on elimination. Okay? And then we'll go from there. So, first step is we're going to solve one equation for x or y. Looks very familiar with how we started to do substitution before, correct? Okay? So in this particular case, we solve the second equation for y because it was already done for us. Okay? Second step, substitute the other equation, or substitute that into the other equation. Looks exactly like the steps that we've had so far. We're going to take this and we're going to put it into my other equation for y. Okay? Trev, we haven't used the calculator in a long time. So we can take our phone, flip it over, put it away, so that way we're not distracted by texting. Okay? All right? So we've got x squared plus, now instead of y squared, it's x minus 1 quantity squared, and that's going to equal 13. Third step says, now we've got to solve that, because now I've got a one equation with just x in it. Okay? So this simplifies to be x squared plus x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 13. What's wrong, my dear? You're wondering how I got x squared minus 2x plus 1, aren't you? Okay. Because x minus 1 quantity squared is really x minus 1 times x minus 1, right? Which is x squared minus x plus 1. Okay? Not just x squared plus 1. Okay? We don't just square each part and call it a day. Okay? So that can then simplify to be 2x squared minus 2x minus 12 equals 0. What did I do there?
Combine the 2x squared.
Yep.
And then you subtracted the 13.
All have even coefficients, correct? Yes? Okay. So that means I can go like this. Or if they were all multiples of 3, or if they all had some common factor, we can divide out that common factor. What's up?
So this, how does that still make it the same? You just divided it all by 2?
Yep.
You didn't have to do anything with the 2?
What do you mean?
Divided it by 2?
No. Just divided it by 2. Because 0 divided by 2 is 0. Then I say to myself, what are two numbers that multiply together to be -6 and add to be -1? And I would say, well, self, how you doing? That's -3 and +2. Now what do I do? Now what?
Find the, not the center, but. Don't you take the.
You have to put it in like the circle with them or something.
Now what do we do? Good, what do you think? What? So what equals 0? Right on, sister friend.
Okay.
Right? Because that's solving that quadratic equation. Okay? Now, here's where we differ. Here's where we're going to go off the beaten path for a little bit. So now we've got those two values up there. So we have to find the two intersection points. And what we're going to do is we're going to take x equals 3 first, and we're going to plug it back into either one of our equations. Doesn't matter which one we plug it into. Okay? I would pick the easier one, which is the y equals x minus 1. So this would become y equals 3 minus 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay? So this intersection point would be the point 3, comma 2. 3 squared is 9. 2 squared is 4. 9 plus 4 is 13. It works out in the first equation. 2 is 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. Works out in the second equation. So that is a solution point. It's in both of my parts. Then I go over here and I say, well, now we got to do the same thing, but for x minus 2. Or excuse me, x equals negative 2. So I say y equals negative 2 minus 1. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. So y would be equal to negative 3. And this intersection point would be at negative 2, comma negative 3. Negative 2 squared is 4. Negative 3 squared is 9. 4 plus 9 is 13. Checks out. Negative 3 is negative 3. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. That works out. So both of these are my two solutions. Okay. Love. You try that one. Now, find me the intersection of this line and, what's that one? What's the top one?
That is a parabola.
Parabola. Why is it a parabola?
There's only one squared term.
Only one squared term. I would probably start by solving this one for x. Then I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it back in for x. Now, if we would have solved for y in this particular case, we would have had to put it back in two locations in the other equation, because there's two different y's in the other equation. Okay? Just so you know, if you're doing it using this method. So then that's going to become y squared minus 10y minus 8 times 8 minus 2y plus 57 is equal to 0. Y squared minus 10y minus 64 plus 16y plus 57 equals 0. Y squared plus 6y minus 7 equals 0. y plus 7 and y minus 1. Negative 7 and positive 1. I thought I had it way down here. I thought I had it right here somewhere. So if y is negative 7, then we've got x here plus 2 times negative 7 is equal to 8. I got 22. Minus 1, then we've got x plus 2 times 1 is equal to 8. So my two potential answers are 22 comma negative 7 and 6 comma 1. 6 plus 2 is 8. 1 minus 10 is negative 9. Minus 48 is negative 57. Plus 57 is 0. Checks out there. 22 minus 14 is 8. 49 plus 70 is 119. Plus 57 is 176. Minus 176 is 0. Checks out. Shabam. There we go. Huh? Couple of things. First off, if you didn't turn in your homework from last week, I'm still waiting on lots of those. If you didn't do your quiz from last week, I'm still waiting on lots of those. Okay? Good news today, there is no homework worksheet for this week. Okay? This that I am passing out instead is your final review packet. Okay? So this is a good preparation for the final. Your final will take place online over the weekend, or it'll open Thursday afternoon. It'll need to be done by Sunday night. Then on Monday, during your class time, if you're at home or at school, you will be taking part 2 of the final, which will be written out on paper and pencil. Okay? In-personers, you'll obviously write it out and turn it in right away. Those of you at home, you'll take pictures and submit it like you would normally submit a homework assignment.